What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. Today's video will cover leg 3 of our 4-leg journey across the United States on different airlines. For leg 1 of this trip, I was on Delta, going all the way from Los Angeles till Austin. On leg 2, I went from Austin to Orlando on American Airlines, and now leg 3, we'll be going from Orlando, Florida, all the way till New York on Southwest. So my journey today takes me from Orlando, Florida, all the way till New York, but I'll be making a quick 1-hour layover at the Atlanta airport before going to New York. This is my first time flying on board Southwest Airlines, so I'm excited to see what their onboard offerings are like. What's up guys? So just got off the flight in Orlando. Finally, there we go. Forgot where I was for a second. Anyways, tired as hell. First order of business is going to be finding out where the flight departs from tomorrow morning and navigating close to that terminal, that gate, and then find a place to sleep. As I made my way through the Orlando airport, I thought I would get something to eat before I found a place to rest. There were quite a few different restaurants and fast food chains available to choose from. Unfortunately though, since it was past midnight, all of them were closed. Alright guys, so just found out that Southwest operates at a completely different terminal than the one I'm at right now, so gonna make my way to that terminal. Gonna make my way to that terminal. I hopped on board the train that connects the different terminals here at Orlando Airport, and a short walk later, I was at the main concourse of the airport. Alright, so where are we going? We are going to Atlanta at 6:15 a.m. Gate 121. Status on time. I found my way to the gates, but there was just one small problem. The only downside now is that these security lines, the ones behind me, only open at 4. So yeah, let's find a place where we can get comfortable for the next 4 hours. Maybe by the fountain? I did not end up sleeping by the fountain. I walked around scouting places where I can rest for the night and eventually settled on the smallest couch I could possibly find. Hey guys, so went to sleep at like 1:30 and just woke up. It's about 3. We still have an hour until the security line's open, so I can go to the gate. At this point, I decided to walk around the concourse for a bit to see what was around. There was an electronics shop, a spa where you could get
a massage. This is when a person touches you like, oh yeah, that feels so good. Yeah, thank you.
A shop where you could purchase suitcases. Wait a second. Shouldn't you have your suitcases purchased already before getting to the airport? And then there were a few more shops that were mostly fashion retail stores. There was plenty of seating available throughout the concourse, and there were also large benches and couches you could rest on during long layovers. Also, one thing I was thinking earlier is that the decor of the airport kind of reminds me of some casinos in Las Vegas. We haven't officially started Airport or Scareport yet, but I hate Las Vegas, and anything that reminds me of it, boom, Scareport. feels like an outdated version of California.
Boom. Roasted.
Like California, but if it was the 70s. There was also a Hyatt Regency hotel in the middle of the concourse. Alright, so I did the check-in for this flight online when I was at LAX, as I was told that there is no assigned seating, but rather it's an open seating, meaning the earlier you board, the more options you have for seating, and the earlier you check in, the better your boarding position would be. As you can see here, for the first flight, I was in boarding group B and my position was 22. There was an option to upgrade the boarding position, which would cost $40 per flight, meaning the total would be $80 for the 2 flights I was about to be on. Now, I'll do a detailed cost breakdown and comparison towards the end of the video. For now, I just stuck with the boarding positions that I was assigned, which was B22 for the first flight and B46 for the second flight. To be honest, I wasn't too sure what to make of this, but outside of this, the rest of the check-in process was pretty easy and straightforward. As the security lines had just opened up and there wasn't a very large crowd, I made my way through security in a matter of minutes. It was then on board the train that would take me to the right terminal where the gates were at. Alright, so cleared security and took the train to the gates. We're almost at the gates. Alright, now that we were at the terminal, we can finally begin the game. Airport or Scareport. There were a handful of restaurants to choose from. Most of them seemed to be pretty well-known fast food chains. Having a bunch of options for food is always good. Boom, airport. There was an airport bar as well, which still wasn't open for the day. You guys know how I feel about bars at airports. Boom, Scareport. But it was closed when I went there, so boom, airport. Now, I forgot to get some clips of the men's and the women's bathrooms, but they were there. As far as additional restrooms right next to Starbucks, damn right, that's where coffee belongs, in the drain. Boom, airport. There were some small birds flying around the terminal as well. Birds are awesome. Boom, airport. Also, there was plenty of seating available by the gates. Seating is awesome as well. Boom, airport. There were also a handful of stores at the terminal. At this terminal, there weren't too many stores, but there was that newsstand that had the basic snacks, souvenirs, and all that stuff, which is more than enough. Boom, airport. Alright, now on to the good stuff. The Wi-Fi. There was Wi-Fi available throughout the terminal, and unlike at LAX or Austin Airport, there was no portal through which you have to connect to the Wi-Fi. The download speeds and upload speeds were fairly decent as well for a free public Wi-Fi. Public Wi-Fi with decent speeds. Boom, airport. And finally, for those of you who like watching planes, there was plenty of visibility to the runways. If you're watching this channel, then you probably do like the fact that there's a lot of visibility to the planes outside. Boom, airport. So our final tally for Orlando Airport is 8 for airport and 2 for Scareport, making Orlando International officially an airport. In all seriousness though, Orlando Airport is not a bad airport. But having said that, if you're there on an overnight layover like I was, just keep in mind there aren't any 24-hour stores, vending machines, or food options available. One thing that I do want to mention though is that the people working at Orlando Airport were very friendly and also very helpful. Alright, cool. Now that's done, let's move on to boarding. Alright, so before we begin boarding, I've been hearing a decent amount about this airlines and how they're one of the best. in the US. Right now, my primary question is whether I'll be able to get a window seat to film the takeoff and landings, because Southwest does not allow seat selection. I guess we'll find out shortly what the seating arrangement and boarding process is like on Southwest. Boarding was on time and a lot more straightforward than I anticipated it to be. There were these signs marked with numbers, and passengers would just line up based on the boarding number they were given. All right, that was a pretty slow boarding process, but made it through. Onto the flight now. I made my way on board, and fortunately, there were plenty of window seats available. I made my way to a seat with a good view. So the very first thing that I noticed when I sat down was that this seat has a lot of legroom. A lot of legroom. The overhead panels had individual AC vents and individual reading lights. There was a partially adjustable headrest that wouldn't move up or down, but rather you could just adjust it from the sides. In the seat back pocket here, there was a safety information card, the in-flight information card, and no barf bag, at least not in this seat. There was a standard seat back tray as well. The cabin looked very spacious, but also very minimal. There were no fancy LED fittings to spice up the cabin and give it an ultra-modern feel. Eventually, the seatbelt signs came on, the cabin lights were dimmed, and we made our way to the runway. After climbing up into the beautiful skies of the east coast of the United States, the sun came out. And shortly after, so did the snacks. We were handed out these snack mix packets that contained some pretzels, cheese squares, and bagel chips. Complimentary beverages on board included soft drinks, juice, tea, coffee, and hot chocolate. Alcohol was available for purchase on board. However, there were no buy-on-board hot meals on this flight. What I loved about the Southwest cabin was that there was plenty of space to move around, even with the tray down. Alright, so it was time for me to go film myself in the bathroom so I can upload it on the internet. Alright, just like American Airlines, this bathroom was cool from the outside, but from the inside, it was a shit closet. I don't even know how this is possible, but this was smaller than every other flight bathroom I've been in. The bottle of soap provided seemed like it was almost as big as the sink that it rested on. There was one of those ashtrays again, which looked more like a coat hook than it did an ashtray. After filming myself in the bathroom, I decided to make my way back to the seat and check out the onboard Wi-Fi and entertainment offerings. The onboard Wi-Fi and entertainment could be accessed through Southwest's portal. Internet access was available for $8 for the whole flight. What was nice though is that there were a variety of payment methods outside of just a credit card. There was a flight tracker available as well that was powered by FlightPath 3D. The flight tracker offered various different views as well, which was cool. There was a decent selection of old and new movies and TV shows available on board as well. There was also an option to stream live TV. Free texting was also available on board, so you can stay connected with messages. There was also a section for free music where you can listen to your favorite artists or stream your favorite podcasts and various other playlists. The music streaming on board was provided by iHeartRadio. As we made our way to the Atlanta airport, I had some time to reflect on my experience on board Southwest Airlines. The check-in and boarding process, although straightforward, were very different from other airlines, especially given the open seating arrangement. Once on board though, as for the hard product, the seats were comfortable and the legroom was unparalleled. As for the soft product, the service was friendly, professional, and slightly more welcoming than some of its competitors in the US. Now, here's the thing. Southwest markets itself as a low-cost carrier, and I hesitate to call it that. Here's why. I paid just over $150 for my flight from Orlando, Florida, all the way till New York. A similar itinerary on Delta with 2 checked bags and no seat selection would cost about the same price. Now, to add to that, the one on board Delta would be a non-stop flight rather than one with a layover, as with Southwest. I understand that pricing is going to vary slightly depending on your itinerary, but having said that, I've noticed that prices on Southwest are usually only marginally different than its major airline counterparts. And this is why I hesitate to call Southwest a low-cost carrier. Having said that, as far as the onboard experience goes, they are definitely head-to-head with the major carriers in the United States. Now, if you're someone who doesn't need the 2 checked bags, I would definitely recommend Delta over Southwest, as without the checked bags, you would be paying a lot less on Delta for about the same quality. But if you are a vacation traveler, given the checked bag allowance, Southwest definitely does provide great value. For me personally, I would much rather prefer the option to pay for seats rather than have an extra checked bag allowance. Although I really enjoyed my time on board Southwest, until they start offering seat selection, unfortunately, I don't think I'll be flying with them again. So I did have 2 flights booked on board Southwest. The first one was from Orlando to Atlanta, and then the second was from Atlanta to New York. But to be fair, the onboard experience on both of them were very consistent. So instead of talking about both the flights, I've just shown you clips from one. I did, however, film enough content at the Atlanta airport for another episode of Airport or Scareport. If you guys would like to watch that, let me know down in the comments below. Anyways, that was a great flight, and before I leave here, I would love to know what your experiences on board Southwest were like. Were they similar to mine? Did you find the lack of seat selection as strange as I did? I hope you found this video either helpful or entertaining. I'll see you on the next one.